want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahashem,
Bahashem,
Yahweh
Yahweh
Shai,
Shai,
Bahashem,
Bahashem,
Rakakwadash.
Rakakwadash. Secondly, we want to give double honors to our elders and our apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and righteousness and in sincerity. And third of all, we want to give salutations to the hopeful elect who are out on the highways and the byways teaching and preaching this word in truth and in sincerity. Now, me and the brother Radah, we were just kind of talking through the spirit regarding the flesh, and how we're battling flesh. We know that all of our walks are different. We have all been given our individual bodies that comes with their individual thorns, their individual weight, when it comes to the different things that causes you to fall, the different things that causes you to, be afflicted. Every brother's walk is different. So we were just kind of talking through the spirit regarding, our walk in sense of, our battle against the flesh. And, we just decided that, hit the record button, as bros be saying. So we gonna start off with the book of Galatians, chapter 5 and verse 16, and just go through the spirit. So this is the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 16. Say, Salakia, this I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And that's how we overcome ultimately the flesh, by doing the things of the spirit, by getting into the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, as the scriptures say, and letting it renew our minds, having our minds washed with with his word. You had anything to add?
And that's what separates us from, the 2/3 as well as the rest of the nations out here. Even though the rest of the nations, even the 2/3, they got their own so-called religion that they're into, but it's not of the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. So it don't mean that.
Right,
They think they're doing something, but really they worshiping Satan, man. Even though they might be receiving blessings, those blessings are coming from Satan.
right,
But we're coming in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. First and foremost, like I say, you might have some people that think they're coming in the spirit, but what spirit you coming in? Whose spirit are you coming in? You got to be in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, man.
yeah, because you get benefits from being of this world. You get carnal benefits, so it can be deceiving.
Right. Even when it comes down to the MOTB, you're
Yeah,
gonna have to definitely be spiritual in that day. You're
right,
gonna have to think outside of the flesh, because you might be hungry. You might be looking for shelter. You might be looking for clothing or whatever, man. And then they put that chip in your face and tell you that with this you can receive all that. But you're gonna have to be spiritual, man. Over above all.
right. And that's why we going through this battle right now, so that we get used to the how the flesh operates, you know,
Right.
the different ways that it tries to get us and deceive us, our individual bodies,
Right.
and pretty much the Lord is putting us through this fight against our old man, the man that we were before we knew this truth, so that we can be built up
Right.
and be able to, truly walk in the spirit in these troubling days to come.
Con.
Jacob's trouble,
Con.
Yep.
If I can add to you.
Hmm.
You gotta look, man. Brothers coming out of the world, been indoctrinated since birth into this wickedness, man. And now we coming into the knowledge, truth, and understanding of Yahweh Shem Shai. It's a daily fight, man. Fighting against your flesh.
Yep.
And brothers come from all kind of backgrounds, man. Brothers been through all kind of stuff, man. So this is the main reason why you gotta stay in the flesh. Cause without Yahweh Shem Shai, man, you out here in the cold, you out here in the dark.
Right.
Got it all.
Without the Lord, that's the only reason we, know what we know. That's the only reason why we even have joy in the society that we in, is because we was given the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, the spirit of truth. You know? So this is Galatians chapter 5 and verse 17, and it reads, "For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would." So
Man,
it's a constant battle. It's a constant game of tug of war, you know?
constant. And you can't be in the flesh and be in the spirit.
Right.
Can't be in the spirit and be in the flesh.
Yup.
You know, it's impossible. You know, like that's what the scripture is saying. It's impossible for you to be living, living out your fleshly lust and saying that you in the spirit. You
Right.
know, these are those carnal Israelites, man. You
Yup.
know, you got Israelites out there saying you could eat pork. You know, that's living in the flesh. You definitely ain't in the spirit, man.
Right.
You know, you got Israelites out here saying you can perform all kind of sexual acts, man. You know, that's living in the flesh. That's not living in the spirit, man. Got it all.
Now, I want to grab Romans 5. Let me see. Oh, man. Salakia, but I'll grab this right quick. This is the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 13, and it reads, "For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live." Right, so through the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, that's how we mortify, that's how we overcome. You know, that's how we put into subjection our flesh and the lust of it, you know, through prayer and fasting. You know, those two go hand in hand. You know, us pretty much afflicting our bodies, not giving it the the food and the water that it naturally needs. You know, those abstaining from those cravings of the flesh. It's a such thing as dry fasting, where you don't drink water and you don't eat any food. You know, for a period of time, you will do it. 24 hours. Start it at sundown and then end it the next day at sundown. You know, so that night when the sun go down, you will stop eating and drinking, and then once you wake up, that whole day until the sunset, you don't eat and drink. You know, that will be your 24-hour dry fast. And we do these things, you know, with prayer, you know. So you praying for all of the things that you need, for you to be given the strength to overcome these different stumbling blocks that comes with your flesh, these different bad habits that's slowing down your growth, or just damaging you, in different ways.
Yeah, and if I can add, fasting and depriving your body of certain things, or even certain uh, vices that you have, is lusts that you have. These things bring you closer to being in the spirit, man. Because you got to rely on something. You gotta put that off, put the flesh off. So you can only rely on the spirit at that point, man. You know, you gotta pray to Yahweh Shem Shai to be able to overcome those lusts, so to speak. You got it.
Come, bro. And this is Romans 8 and 5, and it reads, "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit." So that's why we see, the majority of our people occupied in all of the different, things in this society.
Shoot, so like y'all, shoot. That's why you see all these people crashing out right now.
Yep,
They they ain't in the spirit. They in the
exactly.
flesh, man. That's why you see people, sleeping with other men's wives.
Mm-hmm.
They are in the flesh. They're not in the spirit. Because if you was in the spirit, you know, man, hey, this right here can bring death.
Right.
You know, it's millions of other women out here you can have, man.
Yep.
You know, so hey, when stuff like that happen, man, you got to step back. You know, call on the name of Yahweh Shem Shai, throw up a quick prayer, man, and hey, fight it.
Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful point, because when you see the prophecies coming to pass, the people in this world, they seeing them, but they just seeing it for what it looks to be carnally. You know, they don't see that it's actually the prophecy of Yahweh Ba'ashim Shah coming to pass, and that it's a good thing for the nation of Israel.
Right, because they not spiritual.
You know, so that's why it's a different reaction. Like the bro said, they bugging out, and we're rejoicing because we're minding the things of the spirit, and us minding the things of the spirit is ultimately giving us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to be able to discern that these things are happening for our betterment, that we're getting closer to Yahweh Shah's return, and that these are signs of that, you know. But the people in this world that's minding the things of the flesh, all of the different concerts, you know, the NBA, you got the playoffs going on, you got all of these different things, you got the World Cup coming, all of these different things that our people can worry about, you know. The majority of our people are, you know, completely occupied in those things. That's all they're worrying about.
Salakia, I
Yep.
know Jesus.
So when they see the prophecies coming to pass, when they see, you know, situation with the Strait of Hormuz, when they see the gas prices spiking, they're just looking at it like, oh, you know, woe is me, woe is me. It's just the white man is prevailing, and he's about to, you know, like he's gonna win, and he's just gonna.
Salakia, Lord willing, the sound is right. Because I forgot I had that Bluetooth on.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, so Salakia for that.
It should be, Lord willing, because if bros can, could y'all let us know if y'all could hear us? But the bro liked it. I don't know. Lord willing.
It should be good now, but before, I don't know.
Yeah. But I continue on in Romans 8. It reads in verse 5, well, verse 6, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because being carnally minded, focused on everything in this world and letting it keep you from, you know, worshiping and serving Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, doing the things that we've been commanded to do, it'll ultimately, you know, lead you to being taken away with this place, because you're not going to be found worthy to be saved. You know, you're not going to be found believing in the true power, you know, in the truth, you know, the Son of the true and living power. You're not going to be found with these things. You're still going to be believing in these religions, believing that the white man can protect you in a way, you know, whatever way, shape, or form you might believe he can protect you or save you. You're still going to be within these different ways of thinking. And that's all going to be proven to be false when Yahweh Shah returns. So if you're within that, you know, lot, within that mindset, within that spirit, you're going to be proven false and wicked, just like this place.
Hey, can you grab Book of Matthew chapter 26? I think verse 41.
Yeah, 26 and verse 41. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 41, and it reads, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. You got it, bro.
God, this our Lord Yahweh start speaking too. You gotta watch, you gotta pray, man. You know, because hey, the devil is seeking. You know, Lord, roughly paraphrasing,
Goes about,
whom we may devour. Going, you know, going throughout the earth.
right, as a roaring lion.
Right. So you know, you gotta watch, you gotta pray to know what's coming. You know, that's why prophecy is important. You know, and listening to the true prophets, that's important. You know, because like I say, if you're not in the spirit, you're gonna get caught up out here, man. You're gonna get caught up out here, and eventually, you know, fall into that temptation and lose your life
Yep.
and lose salvation ultimately.
Because Esau is a carnal man, you know, and his power is carnal. The sword. He was given the power of the sword, you know, to take peace from the earth, you know, to put to death, you know, to deceive the earth. He was given power to do these things, and ultimately he specializes in them, you know, and utilizing them. So he's able to, you know, pretty much target your flesh and try to cause you to fear him, you know, through carnal means.
His play bugged out. Look at that.
Right. Through his military might, through his words, his mandates, you know, his allies, you know, through all of these different things, you know, he specializes in instilling fear in you. But when we look at Yahweh Shem Shai in the scriptures, the different accounts with our forefathers, you know, the men who was before us, you know, that are here today through reincarnation, we see that nothing is impossible with the Lord. You know, we can be delivered out of any situation. The Lord can have an angel appear, you know, and grab you and teleport you somewhere, you know, teleport you to safety. You could be in a building with your back against the wall and it's troops in front of you. There's no way you're supposed to get out this situation without them grabbing you up and taking you or putting you to death right there. But the Lord allows you to bag up and walk through that wall, you know?
You got people out here and
Right, look at all this, man. Bugged out shit.
Out here in
All kind of costumes.
fuzzy cat costumes and stuff. What the heck going on, man?
Tripping.
Babylon a great finish.
You know, but that's them minding the things of the flesh. You know, while we're speaking through the spirit right now, minding the things of the spirit. And when all hell breaks loose, they're gonna be, you know, losing their minds.
All out chaos.
You know, but the men of Yahweh Bashim Shah, Lord willing, we be those men, we're gonna be stable because we're gonna have these words within us. And we're gonna have this understanding that nothing is impossible. You know, with the Lord, you could go 7 days without eating and still live, you know?
Right. You have several accounts in scriptures where you know, brothers with the delivered, man.
Right.
Out of situations, man. You got Daniel for class, man. In the line.
Right.
Well, it's others, man.
And those lions was hungry.
Right. But if he mind the things of the flesh, man, a bit over for him. You know, if he came, you know, outside of the spirit.
Right. You know, so ultimately what we practice is what's gonna be produced when we're tried, you know, when we're tested. You know, it's just like studying for a test and then you have a pop quiz, you know, or a pop-up test, you know, but because you were studying, even though you didn't know the test was gonna be given right then, you ready for it and you pass it because you were studying, you know, just you know, through the love, just from the love of it, you know. So we don't know the exact day that all hell go break loose, you know, the exact day that the feminine of the word is gonna be brought forth when the preaching of this gospel is gonna be silenced, you know, through the Lord, you know, through the means of the Lord. We don't know the day that these things are gonna happen, but when it does happen, you know, the men of Yahweh Bashim Shai, they're gonna be ready to pass that test, all of the different tests that they're gonna be put through in these upcoming situations, because they were studying for it before. Yup. But you know, that was the point of this lesson. And Lord willing, you brothers and sisters was edified and that we was able to bring this point out clearly. You know, the flesh is indeed weak, but the spirit is willing. So through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, that's how we overcome. And ultimately, if we be of the elect, we are going to overcome. So until next time, shalom.
Shalom.